I woke up in a restaurant. They have a strange list of rules. I don't know if I'll ever be able to explain what I've seen in detail. I don't know if people will even believe me. Hell, sometimes I don't believe myself. But this experience was the single most terrifying event in my life, and I know for sure I'll never be able to forget it. I guess I should just start from the beginning. It was just your regular, run-of-the-mill Thursday night. I had just finished my daily 100 reps of 300 kilogram deadlifts, and my 7-foot goth girlfriend had just kissed me goodnight before going to bed. I was settling into my PC gaming setup for a night of grinding my CSGO account to Global Elite. This wasn't anything out of the ordinary for me, so I figured I should make the night more fun with a substance or two. My memory fails me about 3 doses of horse tranquilizer in, so safe to say, I was pretty out of it. My mom always told me I shouldn't be doing these things, but she was the kind to take away my Xbox when I didn't do my laundry, so she's just a bitch. I know what I'm doing, Mom. You can't just boss me around for my whole life. It wasn't until I came to that I realized there was something seriously wrong. I was no longer in my gamer chair. I was lying on a cold tiled floor, checkered black and white. The familiar glow of my $2,000 flat-screen monitor was replaced by a smooth cement wall, slick from the humid air surrounding me. The wall was unremarkable. The gray top and black bottom was bisected only by that same black and white checker pattern as the floor. Looking to my left, I saw posters decorating the wall, depicting cartoon mascots I'd never seen before. I don't remember what any of them looked like, since I could tell I was still coming down from the ketamine. My memories have gaps. Finally standing to my feet, I realized I was in a narrow corridor with only darkness greeting me in both directions. I began to recollect my thoughts. How did I get here? I swear, I was at home just minutes ago, and now I'm in some shithole I've never seen before? I let out a little chuckle. If Mom knew what was going on, she'd tell me she was in the right. She's still a bitch, though. Looking down one of the corridors, I began adjusting myself to the darkness beyond. There was a single light above me, illuminating my surroundings, but it didn't stretch far enough for me to see in either direction. I began to call out. Hello? Can anyone hear me? I was only met with my own echo, who was just as confused as I was. My eyes weren't adjusting anytime soon, and I had no idea if other people were around, so I decided to just start walking. I'd find a way out eventually if I just stayed calm. As I began, I could just barely make out more posters as I passed them. More characters, every one creepier than the last. Thankfully, the corridor wasn't very long, and I found myself at a dead end soon enough. Just as I was planning to double back and try the other direction, something caught my eye. A big, white sheet of paper on the wall. I couldn't make out anything in the dark other than the 3 words written in bold at the top. Rules for safety. Oh, great, I thought to myself, sighing. I've seen how this story goes before. Knowing that these rules might be my only chance at survival, I took the sheet off the blue tack, keeping them stuck to the wall, and retreated back to the light with it. I glanced down at the paper and began reading them aloud to help me remember them better. Rule 1. Don't run. Great, so when the shadow monster jumps out to eat my soul, I've got to speed walk away like a student whose school is burning down around him. Rule 2. Don't yell. Easy enough. I wasn't planning on it anyway. Rule 3. Don't scream. I pondered for a moment. Was there really enough of a difference between yelling and screaming that a distinction had to be made? Maybe don't yell is just telling me not to raise my voice? Not wanting to spend too long on this, I decided to just not raise my voice at all and read on. Rule 4. Don't... something. There was a large stain covering the page. I figured this would come back to bite me in the ass at some point, Chekhov style. Rule 5. Stay close to Mom. Ha, nice try, bitch. At this point, I figured it must be some kind of prank from my mom. Any minute now, she'd pop out of the darkness and tell me off for my sedative usage. Tell me all the ways she was right and I'm always wrong, and she's better than me, etc. Whatever, Mom. I've caught on. I kept reading the page to humor her. Rule 6. Don't touch Freddy. This one did a good job of unnerving me. Who the hell is Freddy? Some creepy man gonna jump out of the dark, stuff me in a bag, do God knows what? I read on, but I couldn't keep the unnerving thought of this Freddy out of my mind. In hindsight, I think I saw the word Freddy on a few of those posters I passed. If only I paid more attention. Rule 7. Don't hit. This one was just plain ridiculous to me. If breaking this rule causes me to be in some unknown danger, I'll just hit the danger as well. And finally, Rule 8. Leave before dark. I gulped aloud, wide-eyed, as I looked to my left and right. It was already dark, and I'm not with my mom. That's already 2 rules broken. What kind of hellish punishment will await me for this? I raised my right hand and put all 5 of my fingernails in my mouth as my teeth chattered away, sending small fragments of my fingernails flying off into the darkness. Not wanting to stick around for when Satan or the boogeyman or Freddy came to take me away, I quickly folded the sheet of rules into an origami crane and stuffed it into my pocket, sprinting into the darkness in the opposite direction as before. My pained gasps and heavy footsteps were the only noise that accompanied me, echoing off the walls as I ran for what seemed like 10 seconds until I found myself in a large room. I panted, catching my breath while my eyes adjusted to the darkness, and I got a good look at where I was. It was a large dining room, lined with tables. Festive coverings were on each of them as the cheap wooden seats lined up in uniform around them. Streamers and ribbons hung flaccid from the roof as I began walking. I hugged the wall, not feeling comfortable standing out in the open as I made my way to the other side of the room. The walls and floor were just as damp as before, and I felt the icy water cling to my skin as I brushed against it. Finally, a large doorway opened up to a smaller room, which seemed to be a reception area, and, to my delight, a glass window. I ran towards it, pushing my entire weight against it, but it wouldn't budge. Moonlight trickled in through the glass, and I could see a piece of paper stuck to the outside, the letters showing through. TUOKCALBOTEUDDESOLC. I couldn't make sense of any of it, no matter how hard I tried. I sat against the wall, beginning to sob. Was I going to die here, alone, having unspeakable actions committed against me by Freddy? I cried as quietly as I could, as to not break Rule 2 and 3, before finally calming down. Maybe there was another way. I just had to get more creative. Luckily, I had a vial of creativity still left in my pocket, which I was saving for a special occasion. That's when I blacked out again. I woke up again to an unfamiliar sound. It sounded like kids, a lot of them, in some distant room. I was in a toilet stall now, locked from the inside. I wiped and stepped out, seeing a well-lit bathroom in front of me. Was it over? Had I actually managed to survive a night with Freddy? In my excitement, I felt the urge to go back into the toilet, but soon found that I had locked myself out. Oh well, I thought. Not like this decrepit place is going to suffer any worse than if one guy goes on the floor. I'm not quite proud of it, but in a survival scenario, anything goes. As I finished up, I felt the rules list in my pocket again. Seeing the sink in front of me, I saw my opportunity to finally read Rule 4. Carefully unfolding the page, I ran my hand under a bit of water and began to wipe the smudge covering the rule. Then I felt my heart sink. Rule 4. Don't poop on the floor. Horrified, I didn't even try to catch the rule sheet as it slipped from my hand into the sink. Another rule broken? Was there any chance I survive? Sure, in those creepypastas, the protagonists get away with breaking most rules, but this is real life, not some dumb internet story. What horrific price would I pay from this? I stood up straight, readying myself. I had to get out now, no matter the cost. Seeing the bathroom's exit, I walked towards it and swung it open. Nothing could prepare me for the horror I saw. A severed human head was staring at me. Its expressive eyes and wide smile sent shivers down my spine before I even registered what I had seen. When I finally snapped out of my stupor, I noticed a distinct lack of blood you'd expect. The head was sitting on top of a toilet, white and pristine, while its eyes continued to lock with mine. This was my punishment for breaking Rule 4. This Lovecraftian monster was about to rip me, limb from limb. I'd never get to see GTA 6. I'd never get another chance to impress the cute cashier at Walmart with my muscles. That's when I noticed what stood behind the creature. Children. Dozens of them. Their faces filled with the same excitement as the toilet monster stood before me. Had they also been taken by it? Forced for eternity to play a twisted act for its amusement? Was this my fight as well? Oh. Was this my fate as well? There were a few adults around too, faces flushed with shock, horror, anger. Were they collaborating with it? Maybe they had given up fighting it, agreed to play its sick game to be relieved of their suffering. Made me sick to think about. I wanted to collapse. My shaking knees and quivering ankles begged me to fall and succumb. But I knew I had to do something. If not for me, for the kids trapped by this monster. I dashed forward before it could make the first move. There were about 7 kids in the room. With my strength, I could only carry 6. Making a quick decision, I saw that the closest to me had an animal mask covering their face. Deciding that society would be better off without a furry, I made the tough decision to leave him behind. I scooped up the other kids in a flash, 3 in each arm. I heard the protest from the adults trying to stop me from angering their monstrous overlord, no doubt. The kids were complaining too. They must have been scared of the consequences of angering the creature. Surprisingly, the creature made no movements. It stared blankly into the toilet. It unnerved me with its unnatural actions, but I couldn't let it distract me. With the last kid over my shoulder, I realized I was in the same dining hall as before, and the same decorations set up, with the only addition being the few murals to that monster. I immediately knew where the exit was from here, dashing towards it. The adults clawed at me, the woman begging me to stop as the men made a run towards me. I met their desperate fears with a calm tone, as to not break rules 2 and 3. Don't worry, I'll get them to safety. I dashed for the window. The lobby now had different kinds of light shining through it. The sky outside was overcast, dark clouds covering the sun, providing much better visibility. The area outside was covered in snow, a few inches deep. I heard the weather report a few days ago mentioned it would be snowing, so I knew there was a good chance I was near my own house. I crashed myself against the window again, but the window still wouldn't budge. Hearing the adults dashing towards me, no doubt flanked by that horrific thing, I knew I needed to do something drastic. I kicked open the window, shattering glass into the snow outside as I leapt out of it, all 6 kids screaming. For a few moments, it felt like I was in slow motion. I looked down, only to see that I was 3 stories high. As I slowly raised my head again and turned it 90 degrees, everything resumed as I began plummeting towards the earth. Luckily, something soft, roughly 12 years old, broke my fall as I hit the ground. Not wasting any time, I dashed off to the nearby woodland as the sounds of adults yelling faded into the distance. Now I was left alone with the 6 kids I had saved. After running at least 5 miles, I slowed down and rested near a fallen tree. The cold air nipped at my legs, but I was just happy me and the kids were safe. They were all crying, confused. How long had they been trapped there? Had they ever known anything different to that monster? Those damn rules? I told them it was okay now, that I would keep them safe. They all quieted down, but still seemed scared. I decided we needed a rest. In the morning, we'd look for civilization. We'd get them all home. That was all 3 years ago now, but I remember it like it was yesterday. The kids sadly passed away from exposure that night, and I had to return alone. After finally getting home, my hot girlfriend said she hadn't even noticed I was gone. Not wanting to question it, I simply went back to my daily life. My cat dealer would overdose and quit dealing a few weeks after that, so I've been sober for a while. Nothing like that has ever occurred since. I still fear what may have happened that day if I had raised my voice, if I had just broken one more rule. And even though I may never get answers, I think I'm happier that way. So let me warn you, if you ever find a strange list of rules in a restaurant, follow them. It may be your only hope. We're waiting every night to finally roam and invite newcomers to play with us. For many years we've been all alone. We're forced to be still and play that same song we've known since that day. An imposter took our life away. Now we're stuck here to decay. Please let us get in, don't lock us away. We're not what like you're thinking. We're poor little souls who have lost our control, and we're forced here to take that role. We've been all alone, stuck in our little zone since 1987. Join us, be our friend, or just be stuck and defend. After all, you've only got 5 nights at Freddy's. Is this where you want to be? I just don't get it. Oh, why do you want to stay 5 nights at Freddy's? Is this where you want to be? I just don't get it. Oh, why do you want to stay 5 nights at Freddy's?